Here we go. We're tracing the program named Composition Demo 3. We have a client program and we have an array of strings being declared. Here are the values and here are their index positions. Okay, next, student 1. Student 1 is a student object and it's being instantiated by way of the other constructor in the student class. The other constructor in this student class down below here needs a name, an int, and an array of strings. Let's see what actual parameters we're passing to the other constructor. Well, we have three parameters here. Something, comma, something, comma, something. Let's check out the 10. 10 is being passed in schedule, which is this array here. This whole array is being passed down to the other constructor. So the number 10 is plugging in for grade level, and that array of classes is being plugged in here for schedule. The number 10 is therefore being assigned into the property myGradeLevel, and this schedule is being plugged into the array of strings for mySchedule for this object. But what is this myName? myName is a name object. So some name is coming from up above and it's being plugged into myName. Well, what is a myName? A myName is a name object. And a name object we see from this class is really a first name and a last name, two strings. A first name and a last name. So really, my name here is a first name and a last name. Well, what values are being passed to that name object that's a first name and a last name? Oh, I see. This parameter right here, all of this before this comma, is what we're passing. Now, normally, we use lines of code that say something like name equals new name, and perhaps we use the other constructor in a name class, and we have something like Bob Smith. Normally that's what we would do for good style. We would create a name object and we would pass that name object as a parameter along with these other two parameters to that other constructor that we just talked about right here. But this time we're not passing an actual parameter called name. What we're doing is we are instantiating on the fly and what's called an anonymous object, because this is an object right here. We are instantiating an object right here on the fly. We're not giving it a name like name. We're just saying new name Jane Doe. So Jane Doe as a pair, as part of this name object, Jane Doe, is being passed down to here, and the Jane Doe is being put into my name, and my name is really an object where my first name is Jane and my last name is Doe. Sorry for the sloppiness. So that's what we have here. This object is a name object. Sorry again for my sloppiness. And that's that. So this is called composition. Two classes being combined like this. It is proper to say that a student object has a name object. Student has a name because within the student class there is an instance field where there's a name object. It would be incorrect to say that name has a student, because if we look at the name class, there are no properties here, no instance fields that are students. So you would not say name has a student, but you can say that student has a name. Okay, well, moving on. All of that work was done there to instantiate a student object named student1. And now we system out print student1. Well, how do you system out print student1? Student1 isn't a simple number. Student1 is really all of this information here. It's a grade level, it's a name object, and it's a schedule, which is an array of strings. So all of that just can't magically be printed out. Hey, let's fill in the schedule a while. English, algebra, history, bio. English, E for English, English, algebra, history, and bio. Algebra, history, and bio. Looks like I made this array too long. So all of that information needs to be printed out. Well, here's the deal. This line of code could have been typed out, system out print student1.toString. You see, there's a method called toString in just about every class that a professional would write for good style. Do we have a toString method in the student class? Well, let's look. Down here in the student class, there is a toString method. So we have to execute it. Well, this toString method returns a string. And what is the string that's being returned? myname.toString. We'll talk about that later. My grade level. Well, my grade level for the object that we're talking about right now is 10th grade. So that's a 10. And there's a blank space there, by the way. And there's another blank space after the 10. And schedule list. Well, schedule list is a method. It's a method in the class that we are currently in. So you would not type something like bob.schedulelist. It's just the name of the method, schedule list, which is right here. This method returns a string. We have this local variable called list of classes. It's initialized to the empty string. And then with this for loop, we're sending I from 0 up to schedule length. Well, schedule length is 4. My schedule has a length of 4. So we're going to be iterating I from 0 to 4. Sorry about that mistake there. So I is going to go to 0, 1, 2, and 3. And what are we doing in this for loop? Oh, we're concatenating. We're concatenating list of classes with my schedule I. Well, my schedule I is each of his classes. And we're concatenating it all together as we go around this for loop. So list of classes ends up being English with a space, then algebra with a space, and then history, and then biology. So it's one big long phrase. I'm abbreviating here, but it's one big long string. And we're returning that string, list of classes, back to here. So what the people see on the screen is his grade level concatenated with a space. I use a B with a slash through it to show that. And then a list of his classes. English, space, art, I think it was art for A, history, and biology. So that's nice. All of that is going to be stored in one big string that's being returned somewhere by the toString method. Hey, what is in front of the number 10 here? Well, myname.toString. Interesting. My name is the name object, which you and I know is Jane Doe. But it's not so easy. we have to go back to the name class to see if it has a toString method. Does the name class here have a toString method? Yes, it does. And its toString method returns my first name concatenated with the space concatenated with my last name. So Jane Doe, for the current object that we are talking about, is it Jane Doe? Yes, it's Jane Doe. Jane Doe is being pulled out of this name object, and it's being returned. It's being returned back down to where we're calling my name.toString. So this is really Jane Doe. Got to pay attention to which toString method this is referring to. This call statement, my name.toString, is actually making use of the toString method that's up here in the name class. But we're within the toString method of the student class, which is being called from the client program. So all of this, with a single space here, and so on, this big long string is being returned, and it's being returned to right here. So system out print, this main program prints out exactly what we just saw a second ago. Jane Doe, grade 10, then a list of her classes: English, algebra, history, and biology. I think I said art somewhere when I saw the A, but it's really algebra. This program right here prints out this output. When you have a chance to call the toString method by just taking the name of an object and typing .toString, assuming that the class that you're referring to has a toString method in it, you can be lazy, and the rules of Java allow you to just type out the name of the object variable itself, in this case student1. You do not have to type .toString. You won't see professional programmers typing out toString when they don't have to, because they're inherently lazy people. So system out print student1. The computer just knows, Java knows, to look for a toString method in this situation.